In real estate, we have a saying, you make your money when you buy. This is referring to the deal. If you bought a good deal, you're gonna make money for years to come. If you bought a bad deal, then you're gonna lose money and have a lot of headaches. So what constitutes a good deal? A good deal is where you make money, obviously. In real estate, the three most used ways to evaluate if a deal is gonna make you money or not is cap rate, NOI, which stands for net operating income, and cash on cash returns. Now these terms might seem foreign to you now, but after watching this video, you guys will be experts at evaluating deals. So let's get right into it and evaluate a sample deal. So talking about numbers is probably one of the worst ways to explain something to someone. So I want to go through a couple examples on how to analyze deals. And I'm going to run through examples of specific houses that are on sale right now. So first I want to briefly go over some of the factors. That way you'll know what I'm talking about when I'm going through it. So the first step in analyzing if a deal is a good deal or not is hitting the like button for the YouTube algorithm. No, I'm just kidding. Let's get into it. The first step is understanding income and expenses. So if you're looking at a property, the income is obviously rental income. The expenses are things such as property tax, which the state will definitely charge you, water and sewer, which is for the city supplying you water and also getting rid of your sewage, utilities, which is your gas, electric, and heating. Waste management, in New York City, the city takes care of the waste management and it's part of your taxes. But in other places, I know that you might have to hire your own waste management company. You basically want home insurance just in case something were to happen to your property, like there's an earthquake or there's a flood or something and you need someone to back you up. The insurance company will come and fix the property or pay you the amount that it would cost. Management fee is for someone to take care of your property. So if you're not taking care of it yourself, you need to hire a property manager, and that's the management fee. Now, even if you are taking care of the property yourself, you still should bill in a management fee just because one day you're not going to be taking care of it anymore and you want to know that there's money allocated aside for that. HOA fees are homeowner association fees. Most areas don't have these, but if you're in like some sort of community, you might have to pay this. You should just double check in that area. Basically, a homeowners association is like a community. So if you're in a community with a homeowners association, they collect money every single month so they can fund like regular street cleanings, or like when it snows, somebody will come and shovel the area. Basically, it's a fee that everyone in that community needs to pay. So you want to check if that property has an HOA. The maintenance is basically if you need to fix something, you want to set aside some money so that obviously you have money to get it fixed if something were to break. Vacancies are exactly what it sounds like. If somebody moves out and you don't have someone living there, you're not collecting rent. So that's money that you would lose. So vacancies, it really depends on your area. For New York City, you usually have people check out the apartment before the tenants move out. So usually in my leases, I put a clause in where 45 days before the lease ends, the tenant needs to let me show the property to new potential tenants. That way, I usually don't have any vacancies. So I'm gonna put 0 for this. Now, it really depends on your area. Like New York City is high demand area, but if you're in like Indiana or Idaho or somewhere like far out and more rural, your vacancy might be higher. If that's the case, you should talk to other investors in that area or just call around and speak to some agents just to find out like what normal vacancy is for your area. So for maintenance, I usually set aside $250 per property per month. So normally I wouldn't spend $250 every single month on repairs, but you want to have some money set aside in case a big ticket item fails. Like if the furnace fails and you need to replace the furnace, it could be a couple $1,000s. So you want to have kind of like a fund set aside when something like that happens. And it's not really a matter of if, it's a matter of when, because things don't last forever. Maybe a furnace might last you like 15 years, but after the 15 years, one day you're definitely gonna have to replace it. So you need to set aside money for that. So for me, I'm gonna put $250 times 12. That's $3,000 set aside a year. Now HOA, if I'm buying a rental, I'm definitely not gonna buy one in an HOA area, so I'm gonna put 0. Management, I put 5%. That's usually how much maintenance is in this area that I'm in, but you can definitely talk to property managers in where you're looking just to see what their standard rates are. So insurance would depend on how much the property costs, how big, how many units, something like that. Waste management in New York City, like I said before, is 0. You can call waste management companies in your area just to get like a ballpark number. Utilities also based on the property. Water and sewer also based on the property, and same with the property tax. Okay, so now let's look at properties. I'm gonna use Zillow for this example, but you can pretty much use any property listing site. Like you can use Trulia if you want, StreetEasy if you want, Redfin, anything that you're comfortable with. So what you wanna do is open one page and look at all the for sales. Since I look at multifamilies, I'm gonna set all the filters to just multifamily, and I'm gonna put in at least 4 bedrooms. That way I can at least have like 2 units with 2 bedrooms each, or 1 unit with 3 bedroom, 1 unit with 1 bedroom. More would be better, but this is like the minimum that I would go for. Now over here, I'm looking at the Throgs Neck area of the Bronx. It's like a middle of the road area in the Bronx. It's not too expensive, but it's not the cheapest area either. I usually like to look at those areas because that's usually where the working class people live. Also, other areas that I find really good are near universities because student rentals are a huge thing, or somewhere near a hospital because those areas have pretty good rental markets. So next, I'm gonna open another tab for Zillow and also look at the exact same area, but this time I'm gonna have it filtered for rent. This is just to basically give you an idea of what something would rent for in this area. Next, you want to go back to the for sale tab and look for a property. Let's start off with this one. So it's a 4 bedroom, 3 bathroom, 1,500 square feet property. So I'm guessing it's, yes, it's a 2-family house. Looks like they just renovated this place. So the finishes are probably considered higher quality in that area. The property itself looks fairly nice. The units are new since they just did the work, but usually I wouldn't buy something like this because it's usually overpriced. The person who did the work, of course, wants to make some money off of it, so they definitely price it on the higher end. So yeah, this is a 2-bedroom per unit setup. So what you want to do is find out what a 2-bedroom would rent for in that area with a similar condition. So I'm going to come over here to the rental page. Okay, this is a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, 1,800. Now, if a listing doesn't have pictures of the inside, I'll just assume that it's in pretty bad shape. Because if a property is in a good condition, they're definitely going to show off like the nice looking kitchen or bathroom. Because it doesn't have a picture, it's telling me this is a unit that's in a not so good condition. This is a $2,000 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment. So if you look here, you know, this looks outdated. It looks old. Definitely not as good as the other unit. So the newly rented 2-bedroom should get something higher than 2,000. Now let's see, 2,100. This looks like the same unit as the other one. Why do they have 2 listings? One for 2,100 and one for 2,000. That makes no sense. Oh, it just looks the same. I guess these two were built by the same people. 2,100. Why do they look like they have the same exact kitchen picture? Like, look at this thing here. That's so weird. It looks like every single one has a kitchen like this with a messed up cabinet door. That's odd. Okay, let's look over here. 3-bedroom, 2,200. 3-bedroom, 1,800. 3-bedroom, 2,200. 3-bedroom, 2,200. 3-bedroom, 2,100. Let's see, 2-bedroom, 1,800. So it looks like this unit is probably going to rent a bit over 2,000, but there's nothing in the area that's kind of close in quality. Okay, so this one is 1,900, and it looks like these cabinets, this looks old too, because it has linoleum flooring. The cabinets look okay. The countertop looks like it's either granite or quartz, so it's like on a mid-level. Yeah, so I think our property is going to rent for more than this. So let's just say it'll rent for 2,100 or 2,200, something like that. Let's do 2,150 then. So there's 2 units, 2,150 each. Your total income per year from this property is 51,600. Now let's go over to the expenses. So how do you tell what the property tax is? Usually your Department of Finance has records of property taxes. So in New York City, they have a website where you can look all this stuff up. So you just basically have to come over to New York City taxes, then click on property tax bill and assessments. This brings you to a page where you can search for it. So let's do that. Let's click property address search, go to the Bronx. Come over here, it's 922 Logan Avenue. So let's go here, 922 Logan Avenue. Search, which gives you a lot of information about what the city knows about this property and how much the taxes are. So let's look at the 2019 to 2020. So actually the city has this property assessed at $580,000. So that's what the city thinks this property is worth. If you buy it at a higher price than this, that would tell the city that this property is worth more. So you're going to be getting increases in taxes every year. So the city can only increase the taxes by 6% every single year. So it's going to increase slowly until it goes to the point where they think the market value is. So right now you're only paying $5,000 for the property tax. So I'm going to come over here to the Excel and type in $5,000. For water and sewer, from my experience, it's about $1,000 a year per unit. So I'm going to put $2,000 here. Again, you can get a better idea by talking to a property manager in your area. They usually would know a ballpark number. Utilities, usually the tenants pay their own electric and gas. And for heating, the homeowner would pay unless they have separate heating units for each apartment. It doesn't say that they installed new heating units for each apartment, so I'm guessing it's probably still one furnace for the entire property. If that's the case, the owner is paying for it. And again, if you are having the tenants pay for it, usually the rent is lower because other units are paying for the heat. So yeah, let's just assume that the owner is paying for it. So in New York City, unless the property is like newly insulated, which you don't know for this property, but let's just assume it's not, because a lot of the times the property wasn't insulated. So let's just go by worst case scenario. So it's going to be about $250 per unit per month in the cold months. So it's going to be $250 times 2 units times 6 months that it's going to be on. No, it's probably more like 5 months that the heat's going to be on. And then you have to pay for the hallway lights as well as the lights that are outside the house. So that usually comes to about $40 a month for all 12 months. So utilities, you end up paying close to $3,000. Now for a 2-family house, the insurance is usually around $1,000, $1,200. Let's just go with $1,200. Again, these are ballpark numbers. You just need to be like kind of close just to tell. Now, if this is the case, the income is $51,600, expense is $16,760. I'm not factoring in the mortgage, that comes later. We're just going by cap rate, and cap rate doesn't account for the mortgage. Let's put in the asking price over here. They're asking for $795,000. So if you put $795,000, you get a cap rate of 4%. That is really low. I usually look for a 6%. So for something like this, I definitely wouldn't buy it. And yeah, it makes sense. Like, this has been sitting on the market for over 3 months. That means that a lot of people think it's overpriced. And if you do really want this property, you can maybe try to negotiate, because it's been on the market for a while and nobody's bought it. So the homeowner might be willing to negotiate at this point, but still, like, a 4% is really low. Like, let's say you get them down to 750,000. You're still at like a 4.6. Like, these numbers to me just don't make sense. Now, the two other factors that investors use to evaluate a property is the cash on cash return as well as the net operating income. So I'm going to give you an example of how to calculate that here. So let's go and get the income and expense from over here, 34,840. The mortgage payment. Usually Zillow has a mortgage payment calculator for you, so you can get like kind of an idea of what the payment is. So according to Zillow, if you put 20% down and you have a 3.86% interest rate, you're going to be paying about $3,000 a month in principal and interest. They factored in $600 per month on property tax and $278 per month on home insurance, but I think those numbers are pretty off, so I'm not going to use these two. We also already accounted for it here, since we took out $1,200 for the insurance, and also we have the actual property tax number. That's already factored into this income minus expense. So with that, that means the income and expense doesn't even cover the mortgage payment. So you actually have a negative cash flow. So yeah, NOI is basically the cash flow. Net operating income just means how much your income is after you account for the operating costs, or the cost to keep the property. And in this case, it's negative. I don't even need to account for cash on cash. But if you were to calculate the cash on cash, you would just take the cash flow and divide it by your down payment. You have a negative percentage. You should definitely not buy something like this. Okay, so let's look at another property. So there's actually another property like 2 blocks away from here. So its asking price is $799. If you look at the pictures, it definitely doesn't look as good as the other one. But it looks like they did do some upgrades. Like, if you look at that floor, it looks like it's new. The flooring, yeah, this is like a newer style, so it's probably newly done. The kitchen looks old. The bathroom looks like it's old. It looks like those tiles in the kitchen are new. Yeah, the flooring looks pretty good. So it looks like the homeowner did do some upgrades, but overall it's still a fairly old property. But if you looked at the apartments that were for rent in the area, this is on par with what else is being offered in the area. So let's see, it's $799 asking, while it actually has a extra lot. An extra lot just means that you have like an empty space that you can potentially build on in the future. So they don't really give examples of what the layout is like, but if it's an 8-4, I'm assuming it's like a 3-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom. So let's go back to the calculator. So like I said, it was outdated. Probably for the 2-bedroom, it's on par with something like this, $2,000 a month. 3-bedroom, no picture. 3-bedroom, let's see. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look too good. It doesn't look too bad compared to ours. It's kind of similar. They're only charging $2,200 for it. Let's see. 3-1. This doesn't look too bad either compared to ours. Yeah, this one is pretty comparable to ours as well. This one is probably no longer active. 2,100. So let's see. 2,200. This one looks updated. The kitchen looks fairly new. So let's just say that you're gonna get somewhere around 2,100 for the 3-bedroom and maybe like 19 or 2,000 for the 2-bedroom. Let's say 1950. You're gonna have a income of $73,800 on this property. The property tax, let's go back to Department of Finance, look at the statement, 871 Throgs Neck. So again, the property value from the city is really low. So once you buy this, the property tax is gonna increase slowly every year. But right now, they're paying about $6,000. So let's put that into the calculator. $6,000. The water and sewer, $1,000 per unit, 3 units, $3,000. Utilities, let's change it up here, $250 times 3 units for 5 months. Waste, still zero. Insurance, for 3 family, it's slightly more expensive, but not that much more expensive. Let's just estimate it to be $1,500. The management fee, I have it calculating automatically. So it's gonna take 5% of the income. HOA, this place doesn't have an HOA. Maintenance, it's about the same because you usually just have 1 furnace, 1 roof. And those are the big ticket items that you have to worry about. So your total expenses are $21,420. So at the end of the day, you have $52,000 of income after you subtract the expense. So they're asking for $799. So that gives you a cap rate of 6.5%. So this deal is definitely much better than the other one. Actually, this is something that I would consider buying. Okay, so let's come over here to the cash on cash. It already took in the $52,320, which was the income minus expense over here. The mortgage payment, you can come over here to Zillow again. Come down. If you are paying 20% down, again, the interest and principal is about $3,000, $3,010. I don't think we need to really change that. 3,010 times 12. Now, if that's the case, you have a positive cash flow of $16,380 every single year. So the down payment, let's say 20%. You have a 10% cash on cash return for this property, as opposed to -1 from the previous property. So this property is definitely a much better option than the previous property for that area. So you really have to also look at the area. If you're trying to buy a property and the area has a bunch of newly renovated apartments, then you might not want to buy something that's that old unless you want to renovate. But in this case, all the rentals around that area are in a similar conditions. So this is definitely a much better deal than the first property. So yeah, that's it. I pretty much do calculations like these for every single property that I look for, just to decide what is the best deal. So I hope after this video you've learned how to calculate the cap rate, the NOI, as well as the cash on cash return. You can choose which factor to use depending on your own situation and your own market. I personally like to use the cap rate because in New York City it's hyper competitive. Property that's a good deal might get 15 offers in like the first 2 days. So I might have to put a larger down payment to make my offer seem more attractive. If that's the case, then my cash on cash return might go down. But I'm not worried about cash on cash return in that scenario because I'm getting a good deal. I just want to get my offer accepted so I can purchase this deal. In the future, I can always refinance and take my money back out. But for now, I'm more worried about getting the property in contract. If you're in an area that has low competition, then you can use NOI or the cash on cash return. If you're someone who doesn't have cash reserves and it's really important for you to get money back every single month, then you can use the NOI. Because like the last property that we analyzed, you get about 1,000 something back every single month after accounting for all the expenses. If that's something important to you, then you can use NOI. Cash on cash return is basically used when you want to know how much your money is actually working for you. But at the end of the day, it's up to you which factor you want to use. If you compare all three factors, all three should tell you which deal is the better deal. Like in our scenario, one gave you a 4 point something cap rate while the other gave you a 6 point something. Now 4 point something cap rate, you have to pay every single month, while the 6% cap rate pays you 1 point something thousand dollars every single month just for owning and renting it out. The cash on cash return on the first one was negative, while it was a 10% on the second one. So all three factors show that the second deal is much better than the first deal. So yeah, I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments down below. If this was helpful to you, please hit the like button and share it to someone who might find this information useful. If you want to learn more about real estate, please watch some of these other videos that are linked over here. And I'm going to be uploading more videos and covering more topics. So if you're interested in real estate or personal finance, please hit the subscribe button and click the bell notification so you know when I put a new video. Anyway, that's it from me. Thanks a lot for watching, guys.